Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Excel, and I'm glad to be your tutor for this class. It is my prayer that as we embark on this journey, and you would keep up to the videos I will be posting and the notes I'll be sharing on the page, you would be able to follow up keenly and get the insights, the techniques, the technicalities to pass your NTC exam with ease. Let's strive for excellence together and celebrate our success. It is my prayer that we learn from mistakes, especially for those who wrote the earlier exam and could not get their passes, but are privileged to have a degree and thus they have the chance to write the exam under new reforms. And then this time I hope it's going to be write once and pass at a time. And I'm sure that the little success we will chop would help us go far. And to those who are meeting for the first time too, I wish you all, and I hope that you'll be able to abide and follow keenly with the timetable and everything, that at the end of the day you'd all sing the praise and give glory to God for helping us pass the exam with ease. Alright, so once again, I'm Excel, and I'll be taking you through the preparatory class for the September Ghana Teacher Licensure examination. Just before we start, if you're interested in joining, or you're watching this video on YouTube or somewhere and have interest in joining a class, you can just call or WhatsApp me. I prefer you WhatsApp me on the MTN number under the screen, 0547839324, 0547839324. Alright, so first things first. Now you are interested in writing the NTC exam and you don't know what to do. So the first thing you have to do is check whether you qualify to write the exam or not. Check whether you qualify to write the exam or not. So to check this, you just log into the NTC website, exams.ntc.gov.gh, exams.ntc.gov.gh. Then you check your eligibility status, whether you qualify to write the exam or not. Now once you enter your index number from the college or the university you attended, and you are deemed as confirmed to write the exam, then quickly you do the indexing, and to the indexing you just dial the short code *772*51#. Then you dial, of the options you pick 2, that's for indexing. Then you make the payment and do the indexing. Now once you through the indexing, you would get an indexing code or indexing number. Then you can proceed to register for the exam, or you can choose to now equally go back to the website ntc.gov.gh, and now you verify your index number just to confirm your identity is what you paid for. Now once you through it that, then you can now register for the exam, and that's equally a very simple process. If you have a challenge with it, you can equally DM me with the WhatsApp number that I shared with you earlier, then I'll gladly assist you to register for the exam. Now let's keep in mind that the deadline for the exam is fast approaching. Deadline for the registration is 31st July 2023. So 31st July 2023, and today happens to be 22nd, so we have 9 days more. Do well to register, and we'll do our best to guide you through the journey to write the exam. Alright, so let's get started. Now quickly, we're looking at the course outline. Now we understand that the exam under the new reforms, you're going to write 3 different papers, which are the general knowledge, subject area specialization, and also the grade level pedagogy, where you'll be examining all these 3 areas. So first is the general paper. Now candidates who sat for the earlier exam would remember you used to write essential skills, numeracy, and literacy as 3 different papers. Now this time around, all these 3 papers are now combined into one paper. So you'd have the standards, which was the embodiment of the essential skills, literacy, and numeracy, all featuring in this exam under the same exam paper, and that is the general knowledge paper. So you're going to write 100 multiple choice questions. You're going to answer 100 multiple choice objective questions, and we hope that with the knowledge you had from before and the previous past questions available, you should at least have a fair idea of how the questions would be. and be able to write and pass with ease. In the event you have difficulties in any of them, you can equally draw attention to it, and they will gladly assist you to get a pass mark. So let's break it further to know what exactly constitutes each of them. So with the teaching standard, that is the essential skills, just as the old syllable was, you're going to have it under 3 thematic areas, which are simply the teaching standards. So 1, professional values and attitudes. You have 9 questions on that. 9 questions on that. You have professional knowledge, where you have to answer 11 questions, 11 MCQs. Then the final part, professional practice, where you answer 20 questions on that. Now all the questions will be mixed up, so you didn't expect to see professional values and attitudes following sequentially the first 9 before you see questions on professional knowledge. It will be mixed up as was done earlier. So under professional values and attitudes, you know you have professional development, and you have community of practice. And the professional knowledge, we have the educational policy. So you should have a fair idea of the educational policy that we have in Ghana and how they are needful for our role as teachers. We need to equally have an extensive knowledge about the curriculum. So it is a curriculum that you base on to teach. So you can't say you're a teacher in Ghana, you are learning things, and then you don't know about the curriculum. So you should have a fair idea about the curriculum. Not only even a fair idea, at least you should have a very good knowledge of the curriculum, what it contains and what it expects of you as a teacher to be able to deliver to your learners. Next, also, you'll be examined on your knowledge of learners. So when it comes to your students who you're going to teach, how well do you know them? How well do you know their thinking abilities? How do you know how they grow, in order to be able to fashion your teaching style, your teaching skills, your methodology and everything to help them understand and have an appreciation of what you're delivering onto them. Also, under professional practice, you'll be questioned, you'll be tested on how you manage the teaching and learning environment. How do you manage the classroom? So there will be scenario-based questions on these areas to know whether this person who is claiming to have completed the university or the college of education is actually deemed for a license. Then also finally, we can't teach without assessing or evaluating our students. So we have questions equally on assessment. Now professional practice is going to take a chunk of the question, that is 20 questions. So under teaching standards, you'll be having 40 MCQs to respond to on that within 2 hours. Then under literacy, you'd have 30 questions to respond to. Now the questions will be based on order of adjectives. Which adjective should precede the other? Is it the one that is describing the size or the age or the shape or the nationality, whatever? We'll be talking details about that, and Kwasan would help us in that regard. We talk about concords, so your subject verb agreements, the number of subjects, the number of verbs, how they relate, and proximity, how to go about your grammar. So it would help you polish your grammar and then reflect in the answers you provide to the council. Also, direct and reported speech will be questioned, or you have questions to examine your understanding on that. Then as part of everyday English literacy, you have questions on synonyms and antonyms, idiomatic expressions, phrasal verbs, question tags, sequence of tenses. So you're not expected to say he didn't came. Sometimes strangely you can hear people say he didn't came, didn't, and you're also using the past tense. So it would help you to know when to use what tense, when to use this tense and that. Prepositions and conjunctions, conditional sentences, and relative pronouns will be tested in these areas. That is per the detailed curriculum, the structure that the council has provided. These are the areas under which you will be examined. And the numeracy too, you will be examined on introduction to numbers and numerals. I think I have a video on this already on YouTube, so you can have access to that video and have a recap of if you in the events you have actually forgotten a few things about introduction to numbers, numeracy, set of numbers, odd numbers, prime numbers, even numbers, composite numbers, Venn diagram, and all those things. Algebra, so word problems in relation to algebra and everything would be examined at this area. Now measurements, so measurements, you begin a measurements of time, measurements of various units, conversions, centimeters, meters, kilometers, and all those things. Next, you also be looking at probability. Here you'll be using simple random probability, so the question will not be so complex, and I expect that at least within a few minutes we're going to share together, you should be able to have a better understanding of probability and be able to answer all questions that would come under that. Now, under statistics, you're looking at mean, mode, median, and have a few questions under that. So under geometry, we're looking at angles and shapes more specifically. So acute angles, reflex angles, angle in a straight line. A few questions that we should actually tell that this person who is claiming to be a professional teacher is actually deemed to be certified as such. So this would be the general expectation, the general topics that we expected to have a fair idea about and be able to sit for the exam on. Now, second subject you're going to be examining on is the grade level specialism pedagogy. So under grade level pedagogy, you're not going to write the same exam actually. So if you, in your pursuit of your degree in education certificates, if you did early childhood, you'll be examined on a different set of questions. If your studies focus on JHS and primary education, you'll be examined on a different set of questions. And if yours was on SHS and the TVET, you also be examined on something that is related to what actually you studied. Now that is being done to help keep the problem that they had earlier with people saying that we did early childhood and then the questions they're giving us, we are writing the same exam with those who want to learn education for senior high schools and everything. So now next time around, the gap has actually been bridged, and we expect that at least for this course you'll be able to increase and improve the pass rate, since questions are going to be set relative to the subject or the grade level to which the person is going to be teaching. And I'm going to show you a few topics that will be examined at these areas, and I've been able to work on a detailed course lecture note to help us with a number of questions as well. So on those who will be doing early childhood, you'd have to get questions on the early childhood profession itself, personalities that inform the current early childhood practices, and programs that actually inform the early childhood practices today. Then what national policies do we have in Ghana that relate to early childhood education, and which bodies regulate or which bodies relate with the early childhood education system. Then what are some of the ethical issues in early childhood education, what pedagogies are actually in practice, what are the best practices in early childhood education, and how do you assess your students as an early childhood educator. So how do you assess your students? You'll be examining in these areas. Now if you are study focused on primary and JHS, now you'll be questioned or tested on knowledge of the curriculum, methods of teaching. So how do you teach on differentiation and scaffolding, on inclusion? So how do you include your students, how do you include all the learners? So the teaching should be actually an all-inclusive system. No student should be in one way or the other left out of the class by virtue of the person having any challenge with schooling or with education in general. So how do you include all these minors and then those who are often marginalized? How do you include and then help fashion your teaching such that they are all not left out? Now in today's world, ICT has become a key component of our education. So how do you integrate ICT in your teaching? How do you integrate IT resources, instructional resources, whether regular or items that would help them to be able to relate to what you're teaching? And how well do you question your students? So you could be asked, a teacher asked the question this way, do you think it was the right way? How should it be done and everything? So you should be able to have a fair idea about all these things, and you should know how best to motivate your learners and how you motivate yourself in the course of your teaching to these people. And finally, also on assessment. Now, under those who will be teaching in the SHS and then the TVET, you would be questioned on pedagogy, andragogy, heterogogy. So what is heterogogy? What is andragogy? What is pedagogy? I think for those who be teaching in the early childhood and then the JHS, you don't have to bother yourself with the andragogy. but pedagogy will be a very key component, especially for those who are under SHS and then the TVETs, since we believe that the student by then is a bit matured and then should be able to be taught in similar regards. So what teaching methods do you use? How do you evaluate your lessons, whether students understood them, knowledge about scheme of work, how do you prepare it, lesson plan, how do you prepare your lesson plan, what are the 21st century skills that a teacher needs to possess to help you in your everyday teaching, what classroom skills and practices do you have, what are the best practices that you should have a very good idea of and that would help you in the course of your work or your teaching. Then the art of questioning. So you should, as a teacher, you should have a very good questioning skill which would help your students be able to appreciate whatever thing you're teaching them. And as part of the questioning is assessment. So assessment, as part of assessment is questioning. So so you should have a fair idea about all these things so that you would be able to design your plan or plan your lesson to be able to meet the desired needs of the educational outcomes in line with the educational the instructional goal and the lesson objective that you seek to deliver at the end of the day to your students. The final area we are considering, and then we end today's introduction, is the subject area test. Now, so as said earlier, you're going to write the exam under 3 thematic papers or 3 thematic areas. We said the first is general knowledge, the second is the grade level pedagogy, and the third is a subject area. Now, as said earlier, these are all efforts that the council is putting in place to address the situation that we had when people saying that people who are going to teach at the SHS and GHS are all teaching the same thing, and someone went to school to study fashion and then he's writing an exam with the same with another who went to study early childhood and all those things. So just to bring a sort of standardization where no one is being deprived of any other thing. Now we'll have a subject area test where if you did fashion, your exam, you have a paper that will be focused on fashion. If you did French education, your exam will be based on French education. If you did science, it will be based on science. If you did mathematics education, it will be based on mathematics. So you didn't have to be confused as to not knowing what exactly to learn. So I would not be able to help you in this area, except for a few people that I know that you did business related programs, you did math, science, English related programs at the College of Education or the universities. For those people, I'd be able to help. However, for people or candidates who majored in metal works and others, I think for those areas I would have to restrain and access restrain and then give you the course outline, then possibly assist you with a few questions that or question banks that I have that I think that should you read a little and then also fill the question banks, at least that should maybe give you a head on to be able to face the exam and then do your very possible best. And I know that in the end, when the results are released, you'd come out with flying colors to the glory of God. So I'm so much grateful for your time and attention this evening. So thank you so much, and then I hope that if there are any questions, you put on the page or on the YouTube channel under the comment section, and we will take it from there. So if you're watching on YouTube, kindly subscribe to my page, like and share the video, and I know that I would also be motivated by that to release new series of videos onto the channel. Thank you, have a good evening, and bye bye.